So starting our practice from a child's pose, just making the knees out wide, the width of the mat, feet come together. Just lower the chest down. Finding a place where you can be comfortable, where you can focus on your breath. Notice where you may feel tense. Notice your energy level. If you need a little bit extra, you can press those palms into the ground. And draw those hips back to the heels. And start to deepen your breath. And shifting that mindset from the things in your day, your distractions, and coming to yourself here on your mat, finding the empowerment you own, finding that focus, feeling the breath going in and out of the body, rib cage expanding to the sides and the back. Exhaling, bringing the belly in toward the spine. Let's walk our hands over to the right side, lifting the chest up a little and then pulling that left hip back to the left heel. You may want to take that left hand and place it on top of the right hand, bringing that left armpit down for a little deeper stretch. Finding that space in between that left palm and the left hip, reaching them apart. Now let's walk the hands over to the left. Lifting the chest up, coming over the left thigh, and then pulling that right hip back. And maybe taking that right hand on top of the left, pulling that right armpit down. And just breathing to that right side body now. Let's walk the hands back to center. Let's come up onto our hands and knees. Taking some cat-cows here, bringing the hands under the shoulders. Your knees are under your hips. Inhaling, lifting the chest, lifting the tailbone. Dropping that belly. And then on your exhale, scooping the belly under, press into those hands, separating the shoulders. Tucking that tail under. Inhaling, lifting the chest. We'll do this 5 times with your own breath. Just exhaling to scoop under. And then on your inhales, lifting the chest. Waking up that spine. Noticing where you're tight. Noticing where you feel good. And finally coming to a neutral spine. And we'll take that right leg, straighten it, pressing into the heels, stretching the calf. You can keep your gaze down between your hands. Now let's lift up that right leg. And I want you to just bring your head down so you can see how your toes are, if they're pointed straight down or not. So we want the leg out straight and the toes pointing down, and just press out of the heel. Keeping those hips aligned, even with the mat, not opening the hip up. Now lift that leg up higher and higher, still keeping the hips aligned to the mat. And let's bring the toes down. Let's do that lift again. Inhale, lifting that leg up. Keep making it strong, pressing out of the heel. The leg is engaged. Exhale, let's bring it down. One more time. Inhale, lifting that leg up. Nothing else moves. And now this time I want you to bring that leg over to the right hand as close as you can. May not be that close, which is fine. And we're going to take a stretch to the thigh. Pulling the left hip back toward the left heel. And let's come back, lifting that right leg up, bringing it all the way back onto our knee. Hands and knees. Now let's extend the left leg, pressing out of the left heel, stretching the calf. And notice how you have your hips aligned in this position. How it is to feel them square to the mat. Let's start to lift up that left leg and just glance down and see that your toes are pointed downward. Just a quick peek. Now lift that leg up. Really pressing out. And then let's bring it back down. Doing that again, lifting up the leg, toes pointed down, hips are not moving. It's all about the lift in the leg. It's not going to be very high. Let's bring it back down. One more time. Inhale, lifting it up. Feel strong in that leg. And let's open it up to the left side. And bring it near the left hand, pulling that right hip toward the right heel. Just breathing into the stretch. And let's come back up, lifting that left leg and bring it all the way back around. And from here, let's just go get into a down dog. You can be still in your down dog. You can pedal your feet out. You can even shift from a plank back to a down dog. Anything that feels good to you, waking up, whatever needs to wake up. And finally coming to a place of stillness. Lifting those hips up, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Just pressing into the hands fully and completely, using the tips of our fingers, the base of the fingers, as well as the heel of the hand and the outer edge. Heels are coming down to the mat. Let's step forward to the front. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward, bending the knees as much as you need to. And bringing your hands flat to the mat. And balancing your weight. Starting to shift some of that into the palms of the hands. Hips lifting up. And release. We're going to inhale, coming all the way up. Palms overhead. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's bring the hands down to our sides. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Feeling the length of that spine, pulling the tailbone away from the top of the head. Exhale, hands come to the mat. Step back for a plank. You can come to your knees or come straight down from a plank, coming to laying on your mat. Extend your legs out long, pressing the tops of your feet into the floor. Inhale, lift up for a cobra. Keep breathing. And exhale, coming down. And come back into a down dog. Let's step forward and use the opposite foot to step forward with first. Then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Pressing your hands into the mat. Feeling the weight shift. Inhale, come all the way up. Palms meeting, pinky side first. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Rooting those heels into the floor. Exhale. Now step your opposite foot back, coming to our plank. Let's hold here for just a minute. Not really a minute. For a couple breaths. Knees are always optional. Let's exhale. Let's come all the way down. Hands are outside the chest, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. Inhale up for cobra. Going for length more than lift. Exhale, come down. Down dog. Inhale up your right leg, leaving it straight. The hips are not opened yet. Just working on that length. A line of energy from the right palm to the right toes. Exhale, let's bring that foot down. Inhale, let's lift up the left leg and do the same thing. Pressing out that energy from the left palm to the left toes. And bring it down. Lift up that right leg. Again, reaching it long. On your exhale, open the hip, flexing the right foot. And let's bring that knee into the chest and then plant the foot. Drop the back knee and just hold it here. Working on some flexibility in the right ankle, as well as releasing, stretching that left hip flexor. Trying to create space between the left thigh and the upper pelvis area. Releasing the tension that you may have. You can always use blocks while you're holding here. Now let's bring the hip back for a half split. So inhale, lifting that chest up a little bit, and then coming over that right thigh on your exhale. Almost like you want to drag that left foot back, pulling the right hip back. Toes are coming close to the face as you can. And then coming forward. And this time, let's lift up that left knee and let's twist over to the right, pressing our left palm into the mat. Right arm is open. Pull that right hip over to the center a little. Exhale, right hand comes to the mat, and let's step back for our down dog. Let's lift up that left leg, reaching it long for one full breath. Inhale and exhale. And then open that hip, flexing the left foot. Bring that knee toward the chest, keeping it as close to the body as you can. And then plant that foot, dropping the back knee and holding here. And using those blocks if you need them. Trying to lift the chest up as you let that right hip flexor just stretch, find length. I'm gonna try to make this a more relaxing low lunge. Sometimes, especially if back issues, we tense up. And when we're tense, we lose our flexibility. And so finding where we can have our lunge without that tension. It's a good foundation for our practice. Now let's bring the hips back, coming to our half split, lifting that chest up, pulling the left hip back, and then exhaling over that left shin. Keep breathing as you bend right there at the hip crease. And come forward. Let's lift up that back knee, planting the right hand. Inhale, lifting up the left arm. And don't let that left hip get away from you. Bring it back to center. It likes to jut out. Exhale, bring your left hand down, back to our down dog. Maybe noticing our legs are waking up while we're in our down dog. Let's travel to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward, pressing those hands into the mat. Inhale, come all the way up. Palms meeting. Exhale, let's fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come to the mat. Step back with your right foot. And let's inhale up for a high lunge. Pulling that right hip forward, making sure your left knee is over the ankle. And you can see your toes. Let's open up, planting that back heel and come into a warrior two. Changing your alignment just as you need for where you are today. Press into those feet. Bend into that knee. Inhale, lengthen that body. Lengthen the torso. It's like there's an anchor coming down from your tailbone. And there's also gravity pulling you away from the top as well. Oppositional forces. Reaching those arms out. Gazing out over your left fingertips. And on your next exhale, let's cartwheel our hands down to the mat and come all the way down. Pressing those feet into the mat. Inhale, lifting up. And maybe you can press into your hands and come into an up dog. Exhale, down dog. Let's step the right foot forward. Inhale up, crescent lunge. Bringing that left hip forward now. Bending into that right knee. Knees over the ankle. Come out of that lower back. Keeping the core engaged and lifting up through the spine. Let's open up for that warrior two. You may have a slight tuck of the pelvis, scooping the belly under just a little. Press into those feet. Gaze out at your right fingertips. Shoulders are down. And on your next exhale, let's cartwheel the hands down to the mat. And let's just come straight into a down dog. Come to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, let's come all the way up. Exhale, hands come to our sides. And you can either keep your feet where they are, or you can bring your big toes together and heels apart. Let's bend down, coming into a chair pose. Inhale, lifting the chest up. Weight is in the heels. Exhale, let's fold forward. And step back into our plank. Holding here. Fingers are spread wide. Exhale, let's come all the way down. Inhale up for cobra or up dog. Bringing that belly forward. Exhale, down dog. Let's step that right foot forward, drop the back heel, and press into that front foot, coming to our warrior one. Keeping your hips square to the front of the mat. Pressing into the outer edge of the back foot. Bending to that front knee. Let's take those hands behind us, opening that chest. Inhale, lengthen the torso. Exhale, let's fold forward from the hips, coming into a humbled warrior. Inhale, pressing up into the feet. Inhale, your arms up. Exhale, hands come to the mat. Come into your plank and then down dog. Let's step that left foot forward, drop the back heel. Inhale up, warrior one. Let's take those hands, binding them behind you again, opposite thumb on top, or hand, or just the opposite version of your previous binding. Inhale, lifting that chest up. Keep bending into that front leg. Find that balance. And on your next exhale, let's fold forward. Keep pressing into your feet. Relaxing the neck. And then inhale, come up. Bring the arms up. Exhale, hands come to the mat. Let's come back into our down dog. Let's step that right foot forward all the way to the edge of your mat. We're going to come down into a lizard pose. So dropping the back knee. And you can open that right knee up. You can stay up on your hands. You can get a block to rest your forearms on. Or you can come all the way down to the floor, whatever works for you. And if it feels good to you, you can take a twist over to the right side, and you may even grab that left foot for a quad stretch. All just options. And then let's plant both of our hands on the floor and come back into our down dog. And while we're here, let's come down onto our forearms for a dolphin pose. Pressing into the mat with the forearms. You have the option of walking your feet in or leaving them where they are. I definitely don't do this enough myself, so I am not walking my feet in too far. One nice big inhale and exhale before we press back up into our down dog. And then step our left foot forward for our lizard on the opposite side. Taking the same variation that you did on the opposite side. Just finding that balance between ease and effort. Maybe taking that variation of the quad stretch if you did so on the opposite side. Or maybe just taking a twist. You can release and step back into your down dog when you are ready. And then travel to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. And if you had your feet together before, do so again now. We will start to bring the hips down, bending the knees. Inhale up, coming into our chair. Let's bring our hand to our heart. And then bring that left elbow outside of the right knee, taking a twist. Come back to center. Inhale. And then on my exhale, twisting over to the left. Coming back to center. Inhale. And exhale, straighten the legs. Hands come to the sides. Let's step that right foot back. Inhale, the arms come up. We're in a high lunge. Open up for a warrior two. Straighten that front leg. Pull the hips back and come into a triangle. The more weight you keep on that bottom hand, the less core work you will be doing. Just find your place of effort. Press into those feet, helping the twist. Inhale, let's come up. Hands come to the heart. Let's bring those left toes toward the long edge of the mat. Inhale, lifting up the chest. Exhale, hands come onto the hips and you fold forward. Coming halfway. Let's take one hand on the mat straight under our face. And the opposite hand, we're going to inhale, lifting up. Exhale, that hand comes down. Let's switch hands. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, let's bring it down. Let's walk those hands over to the right foot and squat down in that right leg. You can have your left toes pointed up or still planted. It's fine. You can practice with your balance here, maybe taking your hands off the floor. Some days I got it, some days I don't. And let's walk the hips back up and come into that left foot. Again, maybe working on the balance, maybe lifting that chest up. One side's always different than the other, right? It's when that you lift your chest up is when it gets you. And let's bring our hands back to the mat. Hands are back underneath their face. Take a nice inhale. Exhaling, walking those hands between the feet. Lifting the hips up. And let's walk back out. Hands come to the hips. Press those feet down on the mat. Inhale, lifting the chest. Let's point those left toes toward the short end. Back into a warrior two. And let's come into an extended side angle. So your forearm can be on the knee. Just feeling that line of energy from the top of the right fingers to the bottom of that right foot. Opening that chest up. And bring that right hand down, planting the hands, and let's step back into a down dog. One more time, let's bring the forearms down, back into a dolphin. And stay here for just a couple breaths. And come back into your down dog. And let's travel to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands come to the sides. And step back with your left foot now. Inhale the arms up in a high lunge. Open up for your warrior two. Let's straighten that front leg. Pull the hips back and tip down into our triangle. Pressing into those feet to help us with our twist. Lengthening the upper body. Your gaze can be at your top hand, it can be straight in front of you, or it can even be down at the mat. Whatever is comfortable. Inhale, press into the feet, come up. Back into your warrior two. Let's bring your hands to our sides, straighten that right foot, and then pivot your heels so your toes are all pointed to the long edge of the mat. Inhale up the chest. Extend the arms out long. Exhale, fold forward. And then take a hold of your big toe with your peace sign fingers. Pulling the elbows back. Finding that balance, coming towards the front of the feet. Relaxing the neck. Maybe shake your head, nod it, make some circles. Inhale, halfway lift. Release the toes. Hands come to the hips. And inhale, coming all the way up. And let's come back into our warrior two. And let's come for our extended side angle. So the forearm is on the thigh. Feeling the length on the left side body now. pressing into the outer edge of that back foot. And keeping the shoulder blades down as we reach. And our next exhale, let's plant the hands down to the mat and step back into our down dog. And come down onto our knees. And finally, a seated position. Let's widen the legs out. And you could be sitting on a towel or a blanket if that feels good to you. Inhale, lifting up the chest. Exhale, let's fold forward. You could also use a block for this. Just rest your forearms on it. And inhale, coming up. On your next exhale, tuck that right forearm under the right thigh. Inhale, lifting up, left arm, and then reaching over to the right foot. Keeping those sits bones grounded. Maybe a little opening of the chest. Keeping those legs active, the toes are pointed up. Pressing into the thighs. Inhale, let's come up. And then on your next exhale, tucking that left forearm under the left thigh. Reaching that arm up on the right. Inhale, let's come back up. And bring the feet in front of us. We're going to come into a bridge pose, laying on our back and just touching the heels of the feet. You can have your feet hip width or a little bit wider. Press into the feet, lift the hips up. Your hands can be flat to the mat, or they can be bound behind you, whatever is speaking to you right now. We're going to hold this for 5 breaths. Squeeze the glutes, lift a little higher. One more inhale. Exhale, coming down. Let's widen the feet to the width of the mat. Bring the knees together. And now start to windshield wiper them out. Just rocking the knees back and forth, releasing that lower back. And now take an inversion of your choice. Could be waterfall, it could be feet up the wall, shoulder stand. And then bring those feet down, coming into our final pose of Shavasana. Palms are facing up, away from the body. And finding a place where you can relax and feel complete in your practice this evening. Relaxing at the hairline and the eyelids. Breathing into the jaw and the throat, the back of the neck, the shoulders. Melting the arms down, the biceps and the forearm. Resting the wrist, in the back of the hand, the palm, the fingertips. Relaxing the back, down to the lower back and the hips. Resting the upper leg, your quads and your hamstrings. Resting the knees, the calf and the shins. Melting the ankles down and the tops of the feet, the soles of the feet, and the toes right down to the ground. And finally, coming to a complete state of relaxation. Taking a nice inhale in, deep in the belly. And then exhale out of the mouth, releasing all the breath. Finding movement in your wrists and ankles and your fingers and toes. Maybe taking a full body stretch. Maybe taking your knees into the chest. Having a nice little squeeze. And then rolling over to one side. Pausing in a moment of gratitude. Thanking yourself for taking time to take care of you so you can take care of all those things important to you. And thanking your body for supporting you on your journey. And coming up into a seated position. Closing the eyes, hands come to the heart. I'm grateful for this moment and all those things around us. Those things that have great meaning. And the other things that may not make sense to us because they all have a place on our journey. I'm grateful for your presence this evening. Bowing to the light. In you, namaste.